It has been a rainy morning here. Actually, the rain just stopped. We had a really big rainstorm this morning, and that's fine with me because today is a kitchen day. I'm going to be doing a bunch of preserving in the kitchen, plus my other normal things that you have to do when you are the mom of 10 kids. And I'm going to take you through all of it with me. So I actually wrote myself a to-do list. Let me share it with you. Finished drying the plantain herb and begin infusing it in the oil. So I'll show you all of these as we get through it. We need to make butter, make some cottage cheese, can pickles, can red noodle beans, freeze bananas, bag the frozen bananas, make zucchini bread, and put the roast in the crock pot. That's what I have so far. I'm sure other things will come up as I'm thinking of them, you know, plus there's like make lunch, etc. So let's get started. This is actually 2 small beef roasts that when I put them both in, they filled up the crock pot. Actually, Jason, put that in there for me. Let's give credit where it's due. I'm going to do this on low for 8 hours, and this will be dinner tonight. One thing that I've noticed is whenever I do big kitchen days, I don't feel like making dinner by the time night comes. So I've got to get that going right now. Okay, I already thought of something to do that's not on my list. I have a bunch of garlic from my neighbor. She gave us some of her garlic. And so I'm going to make fermented garlic honey. This is for health. Something that you can take internally, or you could actually, if you got a bad respiratory infection, you could rub it on your chest like people do with products like Vicks. Super powerful. I have not made this before, but my friend Jenny and Abby, I had 2 friends over and they were like, you have to make this. So you just fill a jar with chopped garlic and then pour honey over the top of it, and then you just let it sit in your pantry until you need it. So it's best to let it sit for a few weeks before you use it for the first time, because then it will become this fermented product that is so nutrient packed, power packed. Okay, this is how much garlic I chopped from the garlic our neighbor gave us. I also, some of the cloves were so tiny that I just went ahead and threw them in here because it was taking a lot of work to peel them. You can see these little tiny ones. And we're going to use this to throw in the alfalfa feed for our dairy cow a little at a time. She'll just eat those right up. Okay, so I'm going to put this in this jar, and then I actually have some local honey that I'm going to pour over after the jar is full of garlic.
What do you want to eat in your food, you know? Mm-hmm. You still have a small kid.
Doctor, can you take it off?
Do you have the recipe?
Can you get the dates down?
And you said it preserves it, and you don't have to put it in.
Honey and garlic?
Mm-hmm.
They're disgusting. Can I have to try?
No. I'm going to make you some tea in it. Set it down. It's not for sale.
It's still got honey in it. Can I have to try once if there's no honey?
You guys are really interested in this process, aren't you?
Wait, are you going to put music over this?
I realized that I wrote make cottage cheese, but what I'm making is curds and whey. This is really easy. We have a lot of milk right now because actually Bella was helping to milk a friend's cow while they were out of town, and she gave us the milk. So we have extra milk. So all you do to make curds and whey is just take a gallon of raw milk, take the lid off, cover it with a towel or something with a rubber band, and let it sit for a couple days until it curdles, and then you can eat the curds and drink the whey. Super nutritious, super nutritious. So I have one batch that I am straining to put in the refrigerator. So I'll put the whey in one jar and then the curds in a bowl, and we just eat them like as a side, kind of like you would the cottage cheese. You know, there's so many different dairy products, things that you can make with your raw milk, that honestly a lot of it is just trying to decide what to do. That's kind of the hard part. I have never attempted hard cheeses. Just in my season of life right now, I just don't know that I even want to. But Bella is encouraging me to try mozzarella again. I did mozzarella once, and it turned out okay, but it wasn't blowing me away, so I don't know. Maybe we'll try it again. We'll see how much I get done today. Bella is, with her little company there, is pulling the dill seeds off of the heads that we've been drying. I actually never showed you guys this. Jason built me this beautiful spice rack. Isn't this awesome? So I got these jars from Amazon for my birthday. And then he built me this rack to hang up here, right on the side of our cabinet here. And then I'm starting to fill the bottom with my herbal tinctures so that they're real quick to just grab there. Anyway, I love it. So Bella is filling up our dill seed jar. Look at this professional doctoring. James scraped his knee. You just invented the bandage.
Yeah, exactly.
A tissue and some rubber bands. Yeah. Wow. You were really just making it happen. Okay, this is plantain. And this is my dehydrator. So I keep it outside on our pavilion here because I've been running it so much lately and it does put off heat, you know, in the plains. So right now, I took one batch of plantain leaves out, which I can show you when I go back inside. And I'm gonna put some more plantain in the dehydrator. Since it's growing like crazy right now, I mean, this is just a weed that grows everywhere. I'm just dehydrating a lot to store so that I have it, you know, in the winter if I want to make more of my salve. So this is a salve that my mom used to make. We just called it green salve when I was a kid because it's green colored. But plantain is an herb that's really good for your skin, for wounds. And all you have to do is take your herb, which I'm going to dry so that I have it, and fill a jar up with it. This is how you can make any kind of oil that you can turn into salve. And just pour an oil over it. So if you don't have plantain growing safely around your house because you don't want it sprayed with any pesticides, you can buy it dried from, you know, Amazon or Mountain Rose Herbs. The other thing I'm going to run up and get while I'm running this dehydrator is some more comfrey, because my comfrey plants are young. They're not huge, and so I just pick them little by little as the leaves grow. Comfrey is incredible. I actually injured my knee when I was hiking. I went on a hiking date with Jason, and I injured my knee so badly I could hardly put weight on it. It was so painful, and I just didn't even think to put my comfrey oil on it. I was rubbing arnica gel on it because, you know, I'm just in a habit of doing that because we bought that from Amazon for so many years. But it was days later when I saw my friend and I was still having great pain. And she said, well, are you putting your comfrey oil on it? And so I went home and I started massaging in the comfrey oil, which again was just dried comfrey that for 6 weeks had sat in oil. I started rubbing that on there, and within a couple of days my knee started feeling good. My friend Jenny stopped by. Actually, the friend that told me about the garlic and the honey. Anyway, so I paused on my projects for over an hour so we could visit. I'm getting back at it. So I'm finally putting this zucchini bread recipe together. Elsie peeled them. Samuel ran them through the food processor to grate them. And I was going to put the recipe together. This is a sourdough version of zucchini bread from the Little Spoon Farm website, and it turned out amazing. So I measure it all in grams on my kitchen scale whenever I'm adding the ingredients, and I really think that's the key because it turns out perfectly. But I just realized I opened my little baking powder, and it was almost out. So I'm coming in here to refill my baking powder. I get this big aluminum-free baking powder from Azure Standard, and then I just refill it as needed. Did you know some baking powder has aluminum in it? You have to check your labels, make sure that it does not have aluminum in the ingredients. So anyway, I'm going to fill this up and then we'll head back in the house. Bella is making butter, so we just skim the cream off of the milk jar. I don't know if you can see that. Put it in the mixer, our KitchenAid mixer, and turn it on and just whip it until the butter separates from the buttermilk. we are moving on. Bella started another thing that's not on the list. I've started, I think, 2 that weren't on the list, right? Anyway, she is cutting up this cabbage to make sauerkraut.
I need a little bitty.
Benjamin is up from his nap. He's helping with the zucchini bread. Bella peeled 2 trays of bananas that are in the freezer, and then we'll be putting the rest in once those are frozen and bagged. She also picked a bunch of zinnias to save for seeds. That's back there. What else do we have going on? Oh, Elsie. Elsie is making some raspberry, but we're using blackberry. Raspberry cookie bars. Is that what they are?
Chocolate raspberry crumble.
Chocolate raspberry crumble bars with blackberries from our garden.
So it's chocolate
That
blackberry.
looks really good. She's making those from the chocolate covered Katie.
I'm doubling
book.
it.
Yum. Of course, you know, the dishes. How's it going?
It's going good. So Mr. Starry is coming over today for a short period of time. And so I wanted to get everything all nice and ready for him. I got our blocks ready. I got the wood ready.
I didn't update people that the barn project that we talked about happening is actually happening.
Well, I got the Tim Schreiber seal of approval, and and of course Mr. Starry was all for it. And
it actually looks really great out there. They've emptied so much of the barn.
Yes, those are my 2 main engineers. And so once they said that sounds like a great idea, I was like, okay, it's not just me. Sounds like we're gonna do it. And kids have been working hard helping us.
Oh, I have lots of helpers too here.
But
Is the lens here too?
bigger.
Must be in the mailbox.
Yeah, good.
Good.
Okay, so with my list,
Pass out to the barn when we go.
I put the plantain in to dry, so get that going. The bananas are in the freezer, although we,
Sounds like you're
excuse
making
me. Yep, we're making butter.
Help me? I need help.
And we're making the zucchini bread. We're gonna have to do this again, actually. Haven't started any of the canning. We did the curds and whey. We decided to switch to that. And garlic and honey. You know, I like to cross things off. So, sauerkraut, is that how you say it? So she's doing sauerkraut. Okay, look at this. We're doing great. Now,
I did a batch.
the canning is its own ordeal. So my thought is to clean up, do all the dishes, finish what we're doing, and then we'll do the session where we can, because, you know, that's its own project.
Only salt and no water.
Sauerkraut is super easy to do. So these big, beautiful cabbages came from our garden. You just chop it and sprinkle. For a cabbage, I put like a heaping tablespoon of salt on it. Let it mix it and let it sit for a couple minutes, and then start massaging and pounding the cabbage with your hands or something else until like liquid comes out of it. We'll show you. We'll show you. And then you just pack it in a jar and voila. Okay, we're back in the well again. I have my bag of dried plantain. I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm actually going to do a full quart jar of leaves and oil because I have plenty of them. So, might as well, right? So we're going to pack these in the jar. Doesn't have to be super tight, but it's going to generally fill up the jar. Lots of activity going on in the house. Lots of activity, lots of mess everywhere. But one thing that I appreciate about these days where you do a whole lot of kitchen things at once is you're going to have to clean up a mess whether you do one thing or 20 things in your kitchen. And so if you do a lot in one day and you just clean up that big mess and then you're done and you save yourself a small mess later on. Or 20 small messes if you're doing 20 different things. Okay, so we have our plantain in here. This is the comfrey oil. I don't know if you can see that. I've been pouring off of this whenever I need it to fill my little bottles, but you can see how it turns this greenish color, and then the leaves are left over, just the stemmy spent leaves. I have this one going with calendula flowers. We're going to make some calendula creams. That was with sesame oil. I had some sesame oil on hand, so I used that. That's why it's so clear. It's a different kind of oil. Okay. Alright. Now my mom is always really particular. She would use a butter knife to push it and make sure that the oil got down in every single crack. And she'd kind of tap it to make sure it's settled and fill it till you could not fill another drop to the top. I'm going to have to set this down to fill it all the way up, or I'm going to make a big mess. Okay, I have it filled all the way to the top, tip top, and put the lid on. I have to label it. And I forgot to bring my marker back in. I used to have one here. I don't know what happened to it. Anyway, I have to label it, and now it'll be able to just sit on the shelf for at least 4 weeks. I usually leave it 6 weeks, and then you can use it as an oil or make it into a sap. So we didn't show you the massaging because I got on the phone with Fred and chatted for a while, but Bella massaged that big pile. Because you have the salt with it, when you massage, this liquid comes out. So now she started putting it into this jar. You push it down as you add it. That helps it because you want to really pack it in so that there's just no oxygen or minimal oxygen in the jar. So you put it in, and then you pack it.
Which one am I gonna do?
And you keep going until all the cabbage and liquid is in the jar. Here's Elsie's recipe that she made. It's like a, I guess sort of like a gluten-free cookie thing on the bottom, and then blackberries and chocolate chips on the top.
It's called a
And
chocolate
Lydia has
raspberry
been
caramel
singing
bar.
happy birthday to Benjamin, whose
But-
birthday was in May, so,
Happy
you know.
birthday.
So there you go.
May. But we're
Birthday
using
May.
blackberries. That's his birthday. You want blackberry? Yeah. What do you say? Thank you.
Say thank you.
What do you say? Thank you.
Benjamin, what
He
are you
mumbled
what are you
thank you.
eating? Can I see? Turn around.
He can't say blackberries.
Is.
Oh, the rest of us. Come on. He's
it yummy?
eating a black, yummy.
Oh, Lydia got you a birthday card?
He gets
Wow.
2 birthdays.
Fun.
Happy birthday, dear. Do you know why that birthday sings up? Because it's Benny's birthday.
Not exactly.
Yay! We're pretending it's his birthday. Why? Now we're pretending.
There are a lot of different ways to cover your sauerkraut, but I bought these from Walmart a while back, and I've had the most success. Lydia, that's too bad. With this fermenting thing. I don't know. So we put just some cabbage leaves on top as a protection.
To hold the cabbage down.
Hold it down. And then you put
Otherwise,
that little spring on
the
there.
top will get moldy
And you
if it
can
comes
put any
above
kind of
the-
weight, but I'm telling you, these have just been so easy and foolproof for us.
Well, the thing about the cabbage leaf that we're having with our other stuff is that if any of the cabbage comes above the brine, because salt is a preserver and it seals, and nothing will like mold if it is sealed in that. But if it comes above it, we're having mold, and then it was growing down into it. So it's like the cabbage leaf, and then this, if you can see, like it just pulls it all down because it has this end on it. But the cabbage leaf helps seal it all in, and then you put it on.
And you don't have to worry about burping your lid with this because it has a little oxygen releaser.
It's not gonna do it for me. There you go.
We're making progress. I just washed a lot of dishes. Now I'm going to feed my sourdough starters, so I emptied it out to just a little bit whenever I made a triple batch of that zucchini bread. The zucchini bread batter is in a bowl covered, and I will let that ferment for the rest of the day, and then tonight I'll bake it. So fermenting helps to make that flour more digestible and better for our bodies. But now that I've used the sourdough starter, I need to feed it so that it's ready for the next time I want to use it. I do leave my sourdough starter on the counter all the time because we just bake that much. And so I ideally feed it twice a day. It doesn't always happen. I'm not super particular with this. You know, there are ways to do sourdough that is very precise with good measuring and knowing your hydration levels, etc., etc. I just want to get my family's bellies full. So the way I feed my sourdough starter is I just approximately whatever's in there, I put that much water in. So I just look at the line and then add enough water until that line is doubled. And then I just mix in flour until it's real thick, like I can barely mix it. And that's it. I don't measure at all. And it gets the job done. We just had a shocking thing happen. I didn't even pick up my camera, I was so shocked.
Shattering.
Elsie went to take her blackberry crumble bars out of the oven. She opened the oven door and the glass, the outside glass, shattered. Just shattered at her feet in a million pieces. So crazy, no clue why that happened. But we just finished the cleaning up, the vacuuming and the cleaning. And there's the oven. So we're gonna have to figure that one out. Because, oh, Benjamin's cleaning some more. Yeah, we'll have to figure that out because we can't bake. This part now gets hot. That was the glass that protected the heat. I mean, the little children from the heat. Anyway, very shocking. Okay, but we carry on. Benjamin just threw a bunch of Legos. We carry on. Okay, so Bella over here is rinsing the butter. So you just rinse it in cold water to get that last bit of buttermilk out of it, and then it keeps longer, although honestly in our house we eat it so fast. But yeah, you rinse it, and then we actually have a really cool butter mold that you can press it into and turn your butter into sticks.
I saw a really cool butter mold with the cow.
Well, you saw a cutesy one. Mine is very practical. It makes sticks of butter with the tablespoons marked on it. And then you can put those in the freezer so we'll have good butter in the winter when our bodies really need it. I went to the dehydrator and I took out the comfrey and the plantain. They were done. It was 3 hours. Put those away. And I'm getting tired. You like my hat? My friends at Shepherd's Crook sent me this hat. Because you know we like their coffee.
It's a cute hat.
It is a really cute hat. What's next? The bananas are frozen on the tray. They need to come out and go into Ziploc bags so that we can get the rest of the bananas onto the tray. We have not started the canning yet at all. I may run out of steam. I don't know that I'm going to get to the canning today. It's 5:30 right now. I have to finish dinner, clean up this, and I'm getting tired. When Jenny stopped by, she brought us a bunch of produce from her garden, which is sitting out on that table, and we kind of need to bring it in because it's hot out there. Put it in the well or something, Bella. This is my view from the chair because I'm too tired to get up. I'm moving on to dinner, finishing dinner. So I have that roast that's been in the crock pot all day. Now, when Jenny came over, she dropped off some produce from her garden for us, like I said. So I am peeling and chopping up these squash. Yeah, and then shut the door. Anyway, I am going to just saute these on the stove with some onions chopped up for a side for that roast.
Babe, I got the baby.
Yeah, into this. Well, it'd be easier if you did this.
Fine.
Wait. Oh, buttons!
Ooh, a green. He does have green. It's the same. It's gonna get
No.
So the last thing that I did was heat up the rest of that cream that we didn't make into butter, and I'm going to make it into sour cream with some of these packets that I had left in my freezer. So that's what's happening now. I'm holding it at 145 degrees, and then you cool it, mix in the packet, etc. Follow the directions. I'm going to saute these squash and eggplants and onions. I'm just going to saute that. I have fresh tomatoes too. And then that's it. I'm putting dinner out and we will eat and go to bed. And the rest of the list will happen tomorrow. We got a lot done today. I'm pretty happy with the progress.